At 1:23 a.m., workers inside the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant witnessed something that should have been impossible. Moments later, Reactor 4 exploded, but the people standing closest to the reactor still believed the situation was under control. They were wrong. On April 26, 1986, engineers inside Chernobyl prepared for a late-night safety test. The goal seemed simple: determine whether the reactor could continue generating power during an emergency blackout. But inside Reactor 4, something had already begun to go terribly wrong. Power levels became unstable. Warning systems activated. Operators grew nervous. Still, the test continued. Then, the reactor suddenly surged with power. At exactly 1:23 a.m., the reactor exploded. A second explosion followed moments later. The roof was ripped apart. Burning radioactive graphite covered the facility. Some workers stared directly into the exposed reactor core, unaware they were looking at lethal radiation. But even after the explosion, many still believed the reactor itself was intact, because according to Soviet engineers, a nuclear reactor explosion was impossible. Firefighters arrived within minutes. Most of them had no protective equipment. No one warned them about the radiation. They climbed onto the rooftop surrounded by radioactive debris, believing they were fighting an ordinary fire. Some later described a strange metallic taste in the air. Others began feeling sick almost immediately. But nobody truly understood what they had been exposed to, and by the time they realized the dangers, it was already too late. Just a few kilometers away, nearly 50,000 people slept inside the city of Pripyat. Children played outside the next morning. Families watched the glowing reactor fire from apartment balconies. Nobody told them the air itself had become dangerous. Nearly 36 hours later, evacuation finally began. Residents were told they would return home within a few days. Most never came back. Today, the city remains frozen in time. Radioactive material spread across Europe. Thousands of people were exposed. Large areas surrounding the reactor became uninhabitable, and even decades later, radiation still lingers inside the exclusion zone. Chernobyl became the worst nuclear disaster in human history. But for many people, the most terrifying part wasn't the explosion itself. It was how long nobody understood what was really happening. Today, Chernobyl remains silent, a frozen reminder of what can happen when humans lose control of something they barely understand. And somewhere inside the abandoned reactor, the radiation still remains.